8 episode. Send me the link tudunge kwa Twitter.
So
There we go.
okay, nimeituma umeipata?
I've seen it.
And we are already live,
Yeah.
live and direct.
I know it's been a week of jazz for you.
Or 2 or 3 or what?
What?
How many Saturdays have we missed?
I think
Last weekend?
2. I think we missed 2.
2, Yeah, so what's been happening in Kenya? I think I've seen there's quite a lot with the politics.
Yeah.
Politics too much.
We
Politics too
we
much. I
kicked
think
out
we
our
too
we
much.
kicked out our deputy president.
Have they inaugurated the yet, or they have to wait for the court case to finish?
You have to wait for the court case.
Okay.
All right. I've shared the link. Yeah. So they have to wait for the court case. But my thinking, and this is something I'd thought of, then the moment I thought of it, Senator Omkia Omtata posted it. You see, we have fallen prey to an unthinking parliament and an unthinking Senate. Because what has the deputy president really done to justify him being kicked out? What is it that he has done that is so negatively outstanding compared to the usual caliber of Kenyan politicians? There are politicians who have done what. There are politicians who've been associated with the tribal clashes. There are politicians who are suspected of killing people. There are politicians who have actually been involved in serious corruption deals. So, what is it that the deputy has done that warrants such kind of behavior? And then, if indeed he has done so, and is the second most powerful person in the government, is that not a reflection of the entire government? That means the broom should be for the entire system, not one person. So here comes the problem. How come our MPs, our Senate members could not think in this way? And what Omkia Mtata said, we are in a lot of trouble because these are the same people who can be convinced, or it's very easy. There have been talks of extending the term limits to 7 years. Have you heard that one?
Yes, I've heard of it, and
Yes.
actually even a friend sent me some kind of a petition
Yes.
that people are sending on email to the Senate and Parliament. Yeah, so
Now,
it's clear that
if these are the kind of people who can send the second most powerful leader in government packing in a couple of hours, they can wake up one morning and pass this bill that we are extending, because when they extend the presidential term, they are extending their own terms also. And what somebody was telling me, the plan is to pass it in such a way that if it gets passed this year, we are now starting this year with the 7 year term now.
Oh, so it sort of resets itself. So it's not a
Yeah.
continuation.
No. Now, these people know very well the state of the republic. When you look at uh, the feel, people's emotional reaction, or the general reaction of people towards the government and majority of the leaders, most have a feeling that if we are going for elections in 2027, they are going to be kicked out. So, if you are to place yourself in the shoes of such kind of characters, chances are they'll be very happy to pass this bill. It will be. So I think this issue with the deputy, it was more of a system test, because if somebody is telling you, I want to impeach the deputy president, that is something that involves a very deep thought process. Not something you're just going to just wake up one fine morning and sign him off just like that. So if they could not commit thought process to this kind of situation, that means any bill that the guy on top finds favorable to himself, he has these non-thinkers ready at his beck and call. And that is why there's an MP, I think he's from Machakos, or I don't know from where. He actually used a very vulgar word on Citizen TV. Huyu jamaa ameshika bunge na makende. So it's a bit unfortunate. We normally say that the people who are sitting on the helm or at the top of the system should be the best thinkers. But unfortunately, process involved there is.
Hello? Hello, hello. Hey, Power imeenda ama nini? Ama internet? Sawa sawa.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm running on hotspot now. My people, the Shokinet characters seem to have run into glitches, so I just put on hotspot. So, as I was saying,
Mhm.
um, the people who are supposed to do the thinking on our behalf have really let us down because when you are putting such kind of a motion to impeach the deputy president, you should be put to task. The Senate members and members of the August House should actually say, "Hey, listen, why do you make such a move that could potentially cause some destabilization in the country?" And they just swarmed around him like a pack of wolves. Like we have like the way these animals operate when the alpha wolf says let's go, they march in, but that's not supposed to be a collection of people who question decisions. And if they can make such a move, then what happens when it comes to things like term limits? So as Mtata said, we are in a we are in a far bigger mess than we may think we are. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it clearly shows that the legislature is fully now being run by the president. Whatever the president says, I think they only ask how fast, how high can we jump? It's not a question of should you jump or not jump. Um, they're just yes men and yes women who are in that court. And somebody actually put it so well and said, the impeachment is actually a reflection on both the presidency and the legislature itself, the House of Parliament and the Senate. It's actually a mirror to them. And yeah, for them to have taken now this route, I'm sure the court system is not really going to reconcile the two. I'm sure that probably the VP, the deputy president, is just trying to make a statement or you know, probably show how the whole process was illegal, probably show how the whole process was, controlled by one person. And it's sad. It's sad that we are at this point in state. And And this whole idea of now extending terms, Kenyans can't wait to kick the current president. So, talking of 7 years, even if they were to do a continuation of the current term or even to reset it, that's even worse. I don't think anyone is gonna take that in. I mean, everyone wants to see this president go.
It's actually
Like,
leaving a very bad taste in there. I've never seen a president lose popularity in such a dramatic fashion. Mm.
so fast. And then things seems also fairly, my sense of things from a distance, and maybe you can tell me because you're on the ground, it just seems so chaotic. You know, we've always known that, yeah, we politic quite a bit. Politics do consume a bit of our, be it on radio, TV, our airwaves. That real estate is taken over by those kind of events. But it seems like from the start, it's just been one thing after the other, after the other. I even wonder, yes, there was some point that this whole impeachment was some kind of a sideshow, but it does have some real life implication. I don't know if this 5 to 7, this extension of terms to 7 years is another one of those, but nonetheless, I don't think if there's anything that Ruto is doing now to sort of leave a legacy, apart from this whole thing of changing the National Health Insurance Fund now to what you guys are calling chief shaft. I don't know what even the term is. Why are we so obsessed with every time we have to change things? Uh, yes, there is the idea of continually improving, but we've had a series of this kind of projects, be it Uduma Number, be it now NHIF, be it whatever changes we keep on making every now and then. And changes are important, but even if NHIF was to relook at how it was and improve, why have to change the name? Why have to take people through this whole issue of we are migrating you to the system, register to this. If you don't register, you don't get service. There could be an upgrade of the system where we are moved from one point, but that should be automatic. Everyone should be getting that.
Should be
And it
seamless.
should be seamless. So I don't understand why we have this obsession of having every single times. I presume these are now sort of means to eat some money.
These are just
They create.
money minting schemes because the government is the chief custodian of citizen data. I mean, they have everything about us. So what is this? I have to register again and I have to do what? It's sheer madness. And you know what's strange about this regime? You know, we had during Kibaki's time there was the Thika superhighway. During Uhuru's time, there was the SGR. Then the road to Moyale was also done properly. At least,
Express
yeah,
so under
yeah,
under
yeah.
under Uhuru.
Yeah. So we are not saying that the previous government was led by saints, but at
Yes.
least you can get onto the super, pay an extra coin to the super highway and get to Nairobi in a short time. At least there's something to say, hey, these guys were not all that good, but at least there's something that we can make use of in terms of saving time. But this this cabal that has come in, man, they came up with crazy tax regimes. Now there's the Adani. Now I'm being told Adani has taken over Kenya Power, and I don't know. Look, what is an airport? An airport is a place for planes to land and take off. Then they're taken Kandok of servicing, and where people come to board and land kuja na kusafiri. What is so difficult about that, managing such a situation? If you look at it in terms of function, yani mtu aje kutoka nchi ingine, yes, it can be outsourced, but don't we have the professionals to do it? Some things are really defined. And then for a country that has so-called sovereignty for since 1963, and all those degrees and PhDs that have been graduating here, and other PhDs from diaspora and whatnot, we can't run an airport. Even if it is outsourced, we don't have people who can form an airport management conglomerate local to run it. Then they say, oh, you have to give it to people outside because if it is done locally, they'll steal it. But if they steal, lock them up. Why am I getting this sense of helplessness from people in power? It's really not making sense. Then we are being told that Adani has taken over Kenya Power. So what are they taking over? What is it that our local engineers can't do? And if you are not able to do it, what were the measures to sort of upgrade their training? Si kama mtu hawezi fanya kitu, see they go for training. So, and what kind of people do we employ in these facilities? That we make them go so haywire to a point where we now start talking of bringing someone from outside and what. So we'll never ever have what we call homegrown solutions. With over 40 years, was it 41 years of so-called, not 60, over 60 years of sovereignty. You can't run a power station. Can't run a power grid. You can't run an airport. It's a bit hard. There's a tendency of people to make things look complicated. But what is an airport? Planes land, passengers disembark, whatever cargo inakuwa unloaded, the plane is sort of towed away for whatever they'll do to it. Then there's another plane or other planes which need to take off. People come and board them and they take off. Ama kuna kitu ingine inaendelea kwamba sijui. Last time I was at an airport, that what was happening. So, and then we told we are bringing someone else because the airport the roof is leaking. A leaking roof. 2024. You are struggling with leaking roofs. I know sometimes I think these are just makusudi to trying to take people for fools. If I'm not wrong.
as you've said, these are money minting ventures that they have to create to justify those kind of pilferages, if you have to call them as such, or theft. So it's definitely a sad state where we have gotten, and it's sad that clearly, whatever I think benefit of the doubt we had given our president, I don't think it's panning out. He has shown himself. It didn't take too long.
Yeah, he showed his true colors within a very short time. The first stint was the taxation bit. You can't tax people to prosperity.
You cannot.
And then again,
actually,
in the previous,
I noticed many of the most prosperous countries, what they are doing is, it seems like they eliminate taxes and reduce the reach of government. It seems like human beings can self-organize themselves fairly well, by the way. I'm getting convinced that governments, what they have done is they have literally, I think, confused human communities. I think human communities, if we are left to our own devices, will lay out what our values are, what we stand for, and how we are going to enforce those. Because I look at this kind of small organizations, or rather are people like, I've been watching a lot of these Amish communities,
The one who
and
ride
what
cats,
I see a lot
horse-drawn
of
cats.
order. I don't see any poverty. There's human beings. I think if whenever when we introduce this whole idea of politics, democracy, these forms of governance, I'm not saying they have been totally bad, but to some degree, what they are doing is, to the larger population, they are not really working for them. They have just been working for you.
This, by the Amish people, they they ride these what horse-drawn buggies, correct?
Yeah.
Do they have electricity in their houses?
So I understand their sex between the wider Amish. So there are some that are very extreme, that yes, they don't use any kind of mechanized tools. They don't have cars. As you're saying, they use horse and buggies for their transportation. They don't use electricity in their homes. Um, I was seeing that they encourage their children to play outside, go swimming, just be out there in nature, to read. Their schooling system only takes them all the way to, they don't go to high school. Um, and I think there seems to be some reason for all these kind of things. I guess maybe if you have to just get into kind of some specialized roles, maybe that's where you might seek that level of higher education. But now
I
even people
guess
are questioning the importance of universities. I think
I guess
universities
they
seem
are not even.
to, you know, mhm,
I guess even their intake of processed foods must be extremely low.
vary, because everything they eat or consume is they produce themselves. They are known to be very good carpenters. And man, you should even look at those horse and buggies. I was looking at that Amish community, even though you might, in the context of where they're situated in the US, and they're literally cut off more or less to the wider US community in terms of how they're plugged into government and the governmental systems. But there's order, there's peace in those kind of communities. People there are way more healthy because everything they produce, they that's what they consume. They make their own furniture, so they are taught from very young the idea of self-reliance. And they were even talking of during COVID, they are the one community that didn't even shut down because one, they get forgotten, no one is looking out for them. And they were saying that the COVID that they had there was no less than the same COVID that were in other kind of cities and states. It was the same. But I was listening to this one guy and he said, COVID came, we actually did get it, but it was just a bad flu. It was a bad flu. And I guess because also that they are exposed to the elements, they're out in open fields, they're out, using their hands, so they're fairly active. They are taking a lot of natural foods and not processed foods. So that means their immune system is fairly strong. Then they're in a better position to combat this kind of new, what you call them, viruses or diseases that emerge. So they are in a way stronger position to survive in the world. Um, and there's a way they don't have insurance, but they do know of ways to support one another when somebody is ill. The guy was giving an example of somebody who was ill, he couldn't farm his land. They all came together and they were able to work on his land. When there was one of them that his house got burned down, that community would. I think that provides the buffer
Do they go
in
to
terms of,
hospital?
yeah, they do go to hospitals.
Okay.
So it's not like they're stupid people who just stay buried in their own. No, no, no. I think what, from from what I picked up from those kind of documentaries, they try to manage the intrusiveness of technology. And even those that have gone up the chain in terms of improving their living standards to incorporate machinery, because you go to some of their homes, you find they've got ovens, they've got electricity, they've got all sort of all the modern amenities and appliances that you would find in a modern home. But the guy would, one of them had a phone, and he would say, "This phone does not have a browser. I normally use it for basic voice calls and text messaging. Um, I rarely watch news, but they read a lot. So these are smart people, and it shows why they are one of the communities that still growing because they have big families. I mean, if they were to be extinct, probably now they would have been extinct. But it seems like they know how to live in the world.
Man, let me just top up my data briefly. Uh, those my Siokinet people have turned out to be okay. The M-Pesa accept accept 1501 accept. Yep, I've just topped up my data right now because these sessions are really. Oh, let me try again. Star, it's cutting off already.
No, it's not.
It's not cutting
You're still very much active.
because I just got a
No, no, no.
notification of. Just hold on.
I can hear you loud and clear. The video seems
I,
fine.
I just wanted to. I got a notification about the bundle remaining, so I just wanted to
Mm,
top up in advance. Uh,
okay.
just some bit of due diligence, yes.
I saw Safaricom is now
Let's see.
celebrating their 24-year.
Yes, I've just got an. So you own 24
24 years
24 of Safaricom? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
since.
But they just got they made improvements because Starlink came in. Even my people at Siokinet, I used to run at 8. Then one day they bumped me to 20. They send me a message: you are moving your speeds from 8 Mbps to 20. And funny enough, whenever I do a speed test check, it's not even 20; it's 35, going to 40.
Mm,
So competition is good. Competition is good. Competition is magical. The monopoly that was being enjoyed by some of these organizations was abnormal. So I think what the Amish people have done is about
mhm,
controlling of excesses.
mhm,
If you are going to bring in something, maybe they had a certain set of values they were running with. Then technology came
mm,
and they said, okay, we have this technology. Now, how much of it are we going to allow it while maintaining our values? Because
yes.
let's face it, uh, the old form of African tradition used to be based on sort of working together. There was more face-to-face meetings, get together. In fact, the term issues of harambes and not necessarily getting together for doing anything that need to be together without me wanting anything from you. That's why we have
Mm,
things like barazas and whatnot. We just sit and discuss issues things that are bothering you, if anything that there's needs to be improved in a formal setup, they will go. I think it's to be called the barazas. But with technology, everybody's just your neck is bent. You are busy, with your device, scrolling, and when you ask you what you are scrolling for, uh, nothing in particular. So that you are doing any research on that phone of yours. It's not like you are trying to work on some uh, revolutionary technology that needs you to be always scrolling on your phone. No, we are practically doing a lot of nothing. So,
Mm.
to some extent, whatever values we had, if they were there, they have sort of gotten washed away. So I think the Amish people did some sort of thinking. They said, okay, there may be some improvement in efficiency, but what are the drawbacks? How are we doing before these technologies came in? Were we in a crisis? Were we dying? Were we having like accidents? Were we like killing each other? No. So let's carefully sift through this situation and see what works for us and what doesn't work for us. Like now they use horses. Now they would say wherever the places we go, are we in a hurry to go there? No. And the way their communities are set up, do I need to go to Canada to do what in Canada? I have nothing to do in Canada. So the distances we are covering, are they long? No. Are the horses okay? Okay. Is it cheap to make between a horse and a car? Which is cheap to use? A horse is okay. So we'll say, okay, somebody will say with the car, you can go far. But the army should say, go far where? To do what? So these are some of these common sense questions that they would throw at themselves. Because here in our setup, you'd say you need a car to move around because you are an employee and your workplace is far. But the Amish, they've set themselves such that their means of earning a living, their means of subsistence is within their community. So when you tell him,
Mm.
you go to the Amish people, try to sell them like a Tesla, they'll be like, "Oh, so where will I go with this vehicle? Even you, okay, I may be having some electricity. So I have the car. Where am I going? Oh, you can move around easily. But our horses are doing very well. They will move around with them, and all they need is just grass and water.
And
The
have
cattle
you
is
heard of this myth? Have you heard of this myth that if you got like to a Steve Jobs home,
hmm.
you would expect that everyone is using iPads, the latest MacBook, but you go there and you find very little technology.
In
Uh,
his
Not
personal
that it's
space.
not in use, but it's figuring out. And technology is great. I mean, just imagine what we are doing now.
Yes. Hmm.
Uh, could not have been possible without the power of the internet and all the other accompanying tools and solutions that have come with it. But having said that, I think what we've become is cyborgs, or we become is slaves to the machine. What where we are headed to is truly a you know a brave new world where it's likely to be what the Matrix, the movie, predicted, where we are literally powering these machines,
But you
and we
see,
are, in a
you
sense, we
see,
are actually powering a machine like a Facebook, a machine like an Instagram, with our attention,
digital
and
presence,
it's passive attention.
our digital presence, the clicks on the mouse, the time is spent per entity, that is the energy you are giving it. Now, if we happen to be a group of the two of us were Amish, what's happening? We'll be talking face to face with a very huge community of people around us, sitting, listening to us live, because it will be a community thing. We'll be seated under a tree or as some sort of a barn, well arranged with seats, talking, and our target audience will be our own Amish people, and they'll be listening and talking to us. But since we are, uh, you have to go to Rwanda to seek improvement. I had to do what I had to do. So to some extent, we are fallen victim to our circumstances. I'm sure if you could improve yourself where while you are based in Machakos, you take that option very quickly. But that opportunity is not there in Machakos, it's in Rwanda. So we have somehow fallen victim to a system that was placed in especially for Africans. We've fallen victim to a system that we don't even know how we ended up here. Now, for example, what makes us compare this situation and a group of Amish people having this discussion under a barn or in a backyard, a group of 80 or 50 people talking. Now, for us, one, we had an interruption because Shokinet had issues. Now I had to buy bundles. Now, let's say somebody at KPLC does his shenanigans, the show will come to an end. But the Amish people, if it's evening and they see that they need to, the discussion has become heated up, it's become more interesting, they just light their lanterns and they'll tell the ladies, prepare some food, snack, juu hii mazungumzo imechemka. We need to push this discussion a bit far. Plain and simple. Here we are operating our hub, our communication hub is interlinked in servers which are not even in Africa, such that some mzungu somewhere who feels that these Africans wametuchosha, zima hiyo kitu. You have the power, you have the internet, but you don't have the server. So as much as we say tumeendelea, tumesonga mbele, if you are very keen in investigating this issue, we are like modern day slaves. Like you are yoked. You are yoked to technology whose control is not even in your country. It's not even in your continent. It is held by somebody else. If you fall out of their books, I don't know if you wanna click mouse, somebody will just click OK, and we'll be looking at a blank screen. Chances are even our financial system will tumble with the internet banking and whatnot, with the M-Pesa and everything else. So as much as we talk of modernity, uh, those Amish people are way ahead of us. And if you want
Exactly.
to,
And that's what I saw when I was watching the videos. I was saying if I was to juxtapose our rural areas against the Amish, man, we are still 1,000 years behind them.
we are
I can
behind.
tell you. Remove the electricity, but these guys are way ahead in their sophistication. Look at their homes. Their homes, in and of themselves, are huge, large, multi story buildings. That's one. Clean. Actually, like this guy, what he noticed was he saw that they take pride in gardening and creating front lawns that have got nice, well manicured grass and some flowers in there. He noticed that. He said, as soon as he got into the Amish country, parts of Ohio, Pennsylvania, in the US, he found their communities. And these people, I didn't see people who are suffering. They are wealthy. I didn't see people who, even their mental state seems to be, you found they're lively um, with kids, and then kids are sometimes given chores to go, stand at a shop where they are selling some of their produce. Sometimes they put their produce out by the side of the road, and it's an honor system. You take what you want and you leave the money there. Nobody's stealing from the other.
You see, what we are calling modernity, especially if you're looking at people living in the modern world, sana sana, if you look at Europe, United States, a typical Caucasian or someone living there is mortgage. If it's not mortgage, there's house rent. Then there's they call them car notes where you make car payments. Then you have to pay for heat during the winter. It's metered. Then if you're not paying for heat, you have to pay also the electricity bill for the air conditioning system. Then you have to pay for I don't know rents. I don't know rents or what. There are so many things you're paying for, and somebody somewhere called the Amish has actually intertwined himself with nature so well that he's living free. Who is the more intelligence of the species? You who's paying for you to move around, you are paying for fuel. For the Amish to move around, he's using an entity whose fuel is grass and water. Then you have to pay insurance. Then you have to pay for servicing. Then you have to pay, I don't know, parking lots. Then the car note. And then, I don't know, insurance. And, and you look at this vehicle that you are driving, you drive it in the morning, it stays a full day. So you are not even paying for it when it is parked. You are paying as though you are using it throughout. When it is parked, kwa parking lot, it's in the street, wherever basement, you're still paying for it. Then go to the mortgage and the rent and whatnot. You are paying mortgage for a house that you live very in the wee hours of the morning. Then you come back in the wee hours of the night. You spent like, I don't know, 12 hours away from the house, and then you are paying a mortgage for it. You are paying rent. You are paying gas, paying electricity, and it's if you sort of investigate this issue, we actually look stupid.
And you're right, because I don't know who was sharing this story. Somebody on Twitter Spaces was sharing that, one time they had gone to the village to visit his grandmother. And his grandmother was shocked to learn that you can buy water. Just imagine that. And our thinking and thought process is not unique to her. Just a few years back, people didn't imagine that you can buy water.
I
But now,
remember,
about it. If you go to South Africa, for sure, people don't have in their homes, people don't have this water. What do you call this? Water
dispensers or
dispensers.
hmm.
People drink water off the tap. Of course, you can buy the little, if you're traveling, you need bottles of water, you can do that. And I'm sure you can also get a few of those dispensers, but they are not commonplace. Maybe you might find them in offices, but your ordinary home, like for me, I know I have a budget of water every month for my own drinking water. That is standard. I don't even have to think about it. But I was shocked to realize people there drink water off the tap. It's because their systems still work. They never got. I think it's when I was in primary when I started seeing people started to boil water. Remember, there was that whole issue of people boiling water. Because before, even for us when we were growing up, I'm sure it's the same experience. We all used to drink water off the tap.
Yeah, I used to drink
It's
when I was
it's a
in
phenomena.
I think
I think it started in the
nursery
early
to lower
2000s.
primary, nursery to
Yeah.
lower primary. There, we actually open the tap and drink from there. Somewhere along the line, it became necessary for you to have containers of water in the house.
Yes. We would
Strange.
boil water from the tap because it was said to be unsafe and clean, that you get some kind of disease, waterborne disease. Um, and that water used to be nice, bro. The drinking that water from the tap, I don't know, it had a taste to it. And it's not like the water that we have now, which is quite bland. It's like our systems just went down. So people never thought of one, you could buy water. Um,
In fact,
the other thing was just imagine recently when we did this whole conversion from analog TV to digital TV. I remember someone saying there'll come a time you'll be buying to watch TV. That felt so foreign. What do you mean I buy to watch TV? You go buy a TV from the shop, plug it in, maybe put an aerial, and boom. Of course, now you've got all these services. You've got the likes of Netflix. You've got all these subscription services that you now have to buy. And of course, even at the time when we were growing up, a few of our, neighbors had the likes of DSTV and the
The
like. But
DSTV.
what it was in common, it was your typical free to the air, what do you call it? Free to
Free to air,
air
FTA
yes,
channels.
stations that you can watch news. But slowly by slowly, there will no longer be free to air services. You'll have to literally pay a particular service every month to watch your local news, to watch your local
But
programming.
funny enough,
Uh,
someone was
because the
telling us,
internet now has made that a bit different also.
someone said,
Hmm.
you'll notice that there'll be some particular services which will always be free no matter what. Those are news items that are loaded with propaganda messages. Those ones you'll be
100%.
given bure. That one, propaganda and things that they want you to believe it will be available 24/7.
Because you're
But this,
what? Because what are
yeah,
you?
because
You're the
you're a
product.
you're a product.
Now, when you get anything
You're
free, you get
actually you're on the
a for
receiving end of a mind control system.
exactly
You normally
100%.
say that if you don't know what is being sold, you are the one being sold.
Yes,
So, but the stuff that is educative, stuff that can actually upgrade your thinking, or you have to pay premium services. You have to pay premium
100%.
fees. Mm. That's why no wonder DSTV would be in some well-to-do homes, but the usual KBC propaganda, which would begin every evening, Sunday evening, by kuwa baba wa taifa alikuwa kanisani, sijui, that is free. That is free. But the stuff that will sort of upgrade your thinking, the subscription will be so expensive that the normal mwananchi will not even come near it. So that's the situation you're facing. And fun enough, if you are in the Amish community, no one can spread propaganda, because instead of something like this that can be interrupted by power, or someone can tamper with the server, you will sit in a gathering and call out somebody who was lying. Hey, Bwana, you cheated us. And the entire community will be there. Saying, Bwana, that Brian told us something, it's wrong. And the households will be there to see that Brian is a thief or Brian is spreading falsehoods. But here, I remember, in fact, there was a time when the multi-party was now beginning. You will see that when it is an opposition leader talking, the system would go mute. It's like a sound fault. So this so-called technology, that is why I think those Amish people looked at the drawbacks and said, how much will it interfere with the freedom of thought? Because the biggest freedom, the biggest loss of freedom is freedom of thought. Because we can tell you, you see, when you have handcuffs, you'll know. If you're in a cell, you'll know. If you're in committing maximum prison, you'll know. But when you are in a mental prison, you won't know.
100%.
That's
I
so
think that's
difficult.
what, yeah. Mhm.
That is so difficult to tell. And chances are, when someone tells you that you're in a mental prison, you'll fight them. Sema, "Oh, nanitusi bwana. Are you saying that I'm a mad person?" So the Amish people, I think they did some very intelligent mathematics and said, hey, 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 listen, anything that will interfere with our thought process has to be kept away. So they are doing well for
No,
themselves.
you're right. And I mean, I think that's true freedom. That's the real freedom. I remember reading back that book. I always still refer to it up to date. The Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, which talks of the two types of people, drifters and non drifters. Drifters, of course, are the ones that are influenced by all this, as you say, in propaganda, news, religion, education. All these are actually tools of control. And I guess that's even makes more sense why they limit all this um, too much education, if I may put it as such, because for them they only go up to primary level, and they say the key thing is they need to learn three things. I think it's arithmetic, that is mathematics, a language, that is English, and what else?
Like they do
Yeah,
in Japan. In Japan, one of the key elementary education, a very large chunk of elementary education in Japan is manners. They actually
exactly.
train you in manners from childhood. So
Etiquette.
etiquette, it is actually a lesson in etiquette. So if you know how to add and subtract and multiply, you know how to talk,
Mm,
and you have manners, and you are mentally pure without this weird propaganda. Are you not ready to conquer the world? Whatever you are will be operating, it will conquer it in seconds.
exactly.
You,
And
you
that's what
don't have.
these guys are talking. It's not like education ends there, because what happens is now, particularly if you're a boy, you're then encouraged to take up a particular craft. Either join your father in, if he was a great carpenter, he was well known for making furniture, he was well known for construction, building homes. Like what they were saying is a lot of those Amish people get called for numerous contracts to build houses, not just for the people within the Amish community, but now in the wider, they call it the English. This is now in America. They call the other communities, the non-Amish ones, they call them the English people. So the English people always contract Amish for construction. Those that live in and around the Amish communities, they're always reaching out to them for construction. And you'll always find now within the labor force there will be a father with his 13, 14, 16-year-old son helping in that effort. And that's where now they begin to build, a specialization of one's way or the other of putting food on the table, um, if you might put it as such. So yes, what you're saying is correct, and I guess, and because I've also seen that many of the people that have gone to universities, doctors, in many ways, some of these people are some of the most close-minded people that I've come across. So it seems like university did not train them to have an open mind, but rather a closed mind. Yes, they get the titles and the big accolades, and they're seen. And this is not to diminish the value of that education and what they get out of it, but it seems more and more many of the people that are joining university, it's just become one big ground of indoctrination. And it
Well,
seems like many of the people, particularly if you're an entrepreneur who decided, to branch out, build a life of their own, they sort of were self-educated to a lot of degree. They are the more open-minded, sober-minded, common sense kind of people compared to what you're seeing around.
you see, if I recall my university days, a very large chunk of our academic operations involved cramming.
Yes.
Cramming to a point where we are now summarizing notes, the notes you take from class, then a handout that has been, I don't know, photocopied, I don't know how many times. Then you make your summary of notes, then those notes, your summary becomes like a Bible. You read it and reread it, then you go to the class and vomit out if it is available. Then you say, oh, here's a second upper, second lower, and what not. And then you say, okay, degree in chemical and process engineer. What chemical have you made? degree in
Yeah.
mechanical engineering. Which vehicle have you come up with? You are still importing. Not only are we importing cars, we are importing 8-year-old cars. I mean, also this education taking it because after all these PhDs and degrees, and you're still importing vehicles, not just even new ones, hand me downs. It's like a factory. You put in a raw material, then a finished product comes out. So if the finished product is what is coming out of the graduation day, until today you're still importing ball bearings and even wiper ya kusugua dirisha when it's raining. A wiper. We can't even wasitengeneza ile kijiti ya kusugulia. We can't even make that one. Then what is all these the PhDs and sijui nini? It doesn't make any sense. It's if you question it deeply, I think you'll annoy a lot of people, especially in the academic world. They'll say, "Sasa wewe unaongea mbaya." But you're looking from the practical sense. Why are you banning all these 5 years and the education is expensive? You're not paying 20 shillings there. These are thousands of shillings. And then you have to spend more time hammering. Then you go to work, bootlicking for your bosses and doing funny. Then 10 years in the industry, or I'm an experience in manufacturing industry. Okay, we are tired of importing this stuff. Can you make one? Oh, 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 no wonder Elon Musk was saying this college education is turning out to be a scam.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I know some characters want to be, and I'm speaking as a former university student. I'm not castigating it. We are both former university students, so I don't think
Yeah,
we're
and I can
castigating
tell you my
anyone.
university experience was one that I really enjoyed. It exposed me to some. It just sometimes it's also the perspective of how you take education, and it's never an end. It's a continuous, lifelong thing. So anytime you get to expose yourself to some new knowledge, new information, yes,
Jump on it.
personally I do love the idea of um, learning. Just learning is a process that I enjoy. Doing exams,
It's
yes,
part
that's
of your
another thing.
improvement. It's part
Yeah,
of your
that's another
improvement.
thing. Yeah, I'm learning to use some tools for low code uh, business application or software development tools by Microsoft. And I can tell you for sure, like now leveraging AI while learning this, it's actually quite interesting. It's helping actually accelerate my learning because now, and then also using like a project, like it's good work. I'm being exposed to some new problems, and people are coming to us and saying, "Oh, can you help us build something around this?" So it helps me now dig into that tool and see how do I use it to achieve that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it's interesting,
And
man.
I've just gotten a notification that my data bundle is between 2 MBs.
Yes. Oh
I
my
think
goodness, it's about to end. Safaricom bundles are still zinakwisha ni kama.
they are simply leaking through.
Oh
So
my
it's
goodness.
been a good one. We didn't have any people around, just two of us rambling, all good so far. So let's reconnect tomorrow, next week, I mean, and tomorrow evening for the jazz show.
Yep.
Adios.
See you, man.
Yeah.
Adios.